So there I was, pacing back and forth along my driveway, waiting for the ride that was about to take me to one of the worst outdoor adventures I've ever been on in my entire life. What made it so terrible, you ask? Well, buckle up because I am about to tell you. Let's rewind to 2013. I had a toddler, I had a new baby. I was living in this strange new town and I didn't have any friends. So I thought, how am I going to make friends? I tried the playground. I tried to make friends when my kids were at story time. I was trying to figure out this new life, this life after my Army career, this life with a baby and a toddler. Even though I was putting myself out there, I still felt like I didn't have any friends. So I thought to myself, why am I so unlikable? Just joking. I thought to myself, who do I want to be friends with? The list was long. I wanted to be friends with other women who like to get outside and go on big adventures, and women who had kids who were at similar ages of my own children. I knew that these women existed in my community because our local trails are so crowded on the weekends. So I did what most of us did in 2013 when I wanted to make friends. I started a Facebook group. Well, it was actually a hiking group. And I don't even know if you can call it a hiking group. It was actually a hiking group or a snacking group with a hiking problem. But everybody loves Snack Break. So we were really a Facebook group that took short walks in the woods every Friday morning. So what does this have to do with the worst trip ever? Well, I just say it to put it all into context so you know where I was at this point in my life. So it's 2015. My friends and I are thinking we should go on a big adventure, and a big adventure that does not involve our husbands and our children. We wanted more hiking and less snacking. So we decided to head to Colorado to climb 4 14,000-foot peaks in one day. These peaks are Mount Democrat, Lincoln, Cameron, and Bras. I'm not sure if you can still climb up Mount Bras. It might be on private property, and we might not have even climbed it legally. I don't really know. But if you're interested in doing these 4 14,000-foot peaks in one day, it's a pretty fun day. We started with planning and preparing our trip, and being the person that really likes to be in charge and who really likes planning, I took on the plan. Transportation, tents, food, logistics, route, campground, all of those things. And here was our plan. We were gonna leave on a Friday evening after our spouses got home from work, and we had drivers and cars figured out. We were all gonna meet at my house. We were going to eat dinner as we drove. We were going to camp at a place called Kite Lake, which was the starting point for this circuit. Personally, I felt like our plan was rock solid. But I was wrong. It doesn't matter how good your plan is. Something will happen to make you change plans when you least expect it. The trip actually got off to a rough start when one of the women who was driving, who no one really knew very well, wasn't sure where we were meeting. We thought we had said we were meeting at my house, but she thought that we were meeting at her office. So we're all at my house waiting for this one person who's driving, who doesn't know where to go. And because this was the age of Facebook, we didn't have her phone number. We were communicating by Facebook Messenger, which was just a thing because I couldn't call her, I couldn't text her, I was desperately trying to reach her. We finally did. We finally got all of the communications sorted out. She got to my house, we loaded up the gear, and we started heading down the road. And about halfway there was a massive rainstorm, which would have been okay, except some of our gear and our tents were on one of those trailer hitches where you just like put your duffel bags on top of the trailer hitch and then cinch them up and hope they don't blow off. Well, our stuff was not waterproofed on the back of one of those trailer hitches. It's raining, our gear and clothing is outside this vehicle getting wet. Here we go. We were off to a great start. We stopped the car and we gathered the luggage and put it on our laps. So now we're super packed in this car with all of our gear on our laps. We get to our campsite, it's dark. There are no campsites available. People are just camping wherever they can find room for a tent. The parking lot is so crowded. We didn't have any place to park that was legal and safe. It was a nightmare. We finally just squished our tents between other people's tents like we were at a bluegrass festival. And we tried to get some sleep, but it was pretty loud with all of the chaos at this campground as people were coming in and out all night, and there's people trying to sleep in tents but not really sleeping, tossing and turning, snoring, whatever. We heard all the noises.
And no one brought earplugs. Why would we?
Our alarm clocks go off at 5 a.m. We're gonna get an early start on our hike because we know it's gonna take us all day and we still have to get back home after our hike. But we're ready to start our climb, and there's a little more confusion with the group. Some people brought a breakfast that they needed to heat up water and cook, and other people just had a bar and a piece of fruit and just wanted to get started hiking.
There was way too much breakfast confusion. More confusion than there should be surrounding any breakfast in the history of the entirety of the world. Finally, we just started hiking, and as we hiked, we broke into smaller groups based off pace, but it was really not a good plan because we didn't have any established checkpoints, we didn't have any see it at the campground. I didn't know where everyone was on the mountain at any given time. It could have been bad if something would have happened.
We also had one woman who was in our hiking group who had her teenage sister living with her. And I don't know what was going on between this woman and her teenage sister, but our hiking group friend, I guess, didn't go on the trip with us. Instead, she sent her teenage sister. So then we had this girl who was in her late teens.
It was so awkward. We felt like we were babysitting this teenage girl that didn't even like camping and didn't even like hiking.
45-year-old Rebecca would have been like,
hell no, your teenage sister can't come hiking with us.
But 35-year-old Rebecca hadn't done any therapy, and she was like,
why, yes, we'd love to have your teenage sister come hiking with us. That sounds lovely. I'm sure she's delightful. I'm sure she'll have an amazing time.
I wanted to make everybody happy, and I wanted to make everybody like me. Anyway, we kept on hiking. We split into smaller groups. We eventually made it to all 4 summits. And I think everyone who went, minus the teenage sister, had a good time. And we all met at the campsite after our hike, and we took down our tents, we packed up our gear, we loaded the vehicles, we stopped for a delicious lunch, we made it back home.
That evening I felt so accomplished. I had just climbed 4 14,000-foot peaks. It was so cool. It was such an incredible feeling of accomplishment. I just wanted to repeat it and have that feeling again.
And I learned so much about what it means to be a leader in the outdoors during that trip.
Here's the thing. When you go on a big adventure with a friend, those friends become your friends for life. I feel like we're always thinking, oh, I hope this plan goes perfectly. But when it doesn't go perfectly, then you have a much better story. So it's important not to be scared of misadventures and waste time worrying about things that could go wrong.
I think that if this trip would have gone perfectly from start to finish, we wouldn't have all of these great stories and memories and experiences of this shared trip together. The second thing that I learned is if you just sit around waiting for other people to plan your adventures, they're not going to happen. It's why I started our hiking group. It's why I planned this trip, and it's why I do what I do. And this whole career path that led me into guiding and leading outdoor adventures wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have said, hey, I'm going on this adventure. I'll plan it. Who wants to come?
We will just miss out if we're the one waiting for someone else to put the plan together, for someone else to plan the adventure, for someone else to make the campground reservations. This trip taught me that Hike Like a Woman should move beyond just being a mommy blog, and it gave me the courage to learn the skills that I needed so that I could become a backcountry guide. If you feel like you don't have anyone to go on big adventures with, maybe it's a sign from the universe that you need to start something. Maybe you can be the one that plans the trip that's going to change somebody's life. I also learned that it is okay to put aside the mom guilt, to bury it deep underground, and to go on big adventures without my husband and without my children. That's okay. That doesn't make me a bad mom. I think it actually might make me a better mom because I come home from those adventures refreshed and excited, and I want my boys to look up to me and be like, yeah, My mom's a badass.
So if you get anything out of this long, rambling story, what I want you to take with you is if you feel like you want to have friends to go on big adventures with, whatever it is, put your adventure out there and invite your friends, and I bet they'll want to come along. And if you don't want to put yourself out there and you don't want to take on putting together a gigantic plan for a big adventure, I've already done the work for you. And you can always come on an adventure with me. We have so many cool trips lined up for the next couple years. Hey, thanks for joining me. Now go check out this video because the YouTube algorithm thinks you're gonna like it.